Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. If you are a returning viewer, if you're a new viewer, welcome to the channel. I appreciate you coming and checking everything out. I do want to start off by saying, and this is as serious as it gets, I greatly appreciate the fact that you guys take time out of your days and out of your lives to watch my videos. It is not something that has to be done. It is something you guys choose to do, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. From the bottom of my heart, you guys help to keep this channel alive, and because of you, it's the reason I do this. So thank you very much. That is a 100% honest and heartfelt thank you. I greatly appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get into today's video because it is going to be a little bit of a longer one than I'm used to. So we are actually going to install Void Linux, but we're going to be doing it a little bit different than we did the last time. The last few times I've installed Void, I've just used the installer that comes on the ISO. Today we are going to install from chroot. So let's just go ahead and get into it because this is going to take a bit. But side note, we are going to be doing a little bit of a tweaking to it. We're going to be doing something a little different than the normal documentation. So I created my own tutorial to follow, and I'll have that on my website as well. So if you guys want to follow through on the website or go to the tutorial after watching the video, it will all be there because I'm going to follow the same tutorial that I wrote on my website with this video, so that way you guys can access it if you have any issues. So let's just go ahead and get into it and I can quit rambling. So let's go ahead and launch a terminal, and we're going to launch my virtual machine script. So we're going to do vmock.sh and hit enter. We're going to add, and we are going to create better void, and we'll just do all caps, but that's all right. How many CPUs do we want? We'll do 6. Let's zoom in a little bit here. I know you guys don't really need to see this because this is virtual machine and I'm just setting this up, but we'll do 8192 for the memory. ISO is going to be void.iso, and the disk size is going to be 30. Type of OS is going to be Linux 2020, and we are going to do a UEFI boot. So this is going to take a second to fire this off, and once that happens we can get going. So we've got the machine starting up. Let's close these terminals down. And let's get going. Come on, machine. Let's get into business here. I got busy people wanting to watch this video. Doesn't matter how fast your machine is; it's never fast enough, right? I apologize if you hear me slurping on coffee through the video. My throat's a little hoarse and it's a little chilly here, and so having some coffee is good for me. Something warm to drink. So now we've got booted into this ISO. So let's go ahead and log in, and the login obviously is void. Or excuse me, no, it's not obviously. It's obviously root, and then void Linux. And I fat fingered something, so let's just try that again. ROOTVOIDLINUX. There we go. Let's go ahead and clear the screen. Oh yeah, we don't have. Let's type in clear. Now let's actually do /bin/bash. And hit enter. Now we're in bash. Now we can set font -D, which will give us font big enough for you guys to see. Now we should be able to hit Control L and clear. Yes, there we go. Now we are actually in the bash shell, so we can actually have some nice functionality. So what we're going to do here is I am going to move this workspace to workspace number 1 with my website. So let's go over to workspace 1, or excuse me, I got to be out of my there we go. Boy, I am on a ball. So let's go ahead and open up my tutorials on my website, and once we're in tutorials, we're going to do installing Void Linux. And if you see the title here, you can see we're going to install Void Linux with Btrfs and encryption. That's what this install is going to be. So let's go ahead and actually get started with this. So let's go ahead and clear the screen. As you can see right here, I'm not going to read through all of this because that would just take too long, so I'm going to walk through the steps. But as you can see, I have this all laid out on my website, so you can go back and find it later. We're going to go ahead and use fdisk and partition the system. So we'll do fdisk and we'll do dev VDA. I'm going to be using VDA right here in this. It says SDX. You're just going to need to use whatever drive or device you're using to install Void on. So that's just a placeholder there. Don't copy that. We're going to use VDA because that is the virtual disk. We're going to go ahead and hit enter. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit G so we can get a GPT disk label. We're going to do new for a new partition. Yes, we're going to keep the default at 1. Yes, the first sector is okay as well. The last sector we're going to do plus, and we're going to say 200M, and we're going to hit enter. And then we're going to hit 1 for the type of partition, or excuse me, we're going to hit T, excuse me, and we're going to say 1 for an EFI partition. So let's go ahead and clear the screen again. Next we're going to do is we're going to do another end for creating a new partition. Number 2 is fine. First sector is good. Second sector is good. And that is that. We have 2 partitions. We are going to go ahead and write those. Now if I do an LSBLK, you can see I have VDA, VDA1, and VDA2. So let's go ahead and clear the screen again, and we're going to move on to the next step. So this right here just walked you through partitioning the disk with fdisk. You can use whatever tool you would like, gdisk, gparted, parted, cfdisk, whatever it is you want to use to partition your disk. Just make sure you do two partitions, an EFI partition and then another partition. So now the next step we're going to do is we're going to encrypt. So what we need to do now is we need to do CRYPT SETUP and then LUKS format. So it's going to be encrypt setup lux format, and then we're going to do -- type, and we're going to do LUKS1 because lux2 does not work with grub, at least last I checked. So we're just going to stick with lux1. We're going to hit yes, and we're going to do that on dev VDA2. So that's going to be the second partition, not the EFI partition. We're going to hit enter. It says this is going to overwrite. Do we want to? And you got to type yes in all caps and hit enter. Now we enter a passphrase. So I'm just going to go ahead and say what's the super secret password we can use. I'll just use my normal super secret password and hit enter. It's going to take a second to verify that, and we should be good to go. So we have now verified that. We're going to clear the screen again. Next thing we need to do is we've encrypted this partition or this volume on the disk. Now we need to open it up so we can actually work on it. So what we need to do is type CRYPT, so crypt setup, and then we need to do open, and then we're going to have to do dev, and then we're going to do VDA2, because we need to do the partition that we did, and then we need to name that partition. Now you can name it whatever you would like. I'm going to do something really simple here because I'm going to be typing it a bit, but we're going to just do CV for crypt void. So we're going to hit enter. We're going to go ahead and enter the password that we just created and hit enter. This will take a second, but now we are open and we can actually work with that volume on the device. So let's go ahead and clear the screen. And we're going to go down here now, and now that we have partitions made and we have encryption, now we are going to go ahead and format our partitions. So we're going to do mkfs, and we're going to do .fat, and then we're going to do -f32, and we're going to give it the -n flag, and EFI, so we know it's our EFI, and we're going to say dev VDA1. I noticed a typo right here in my tutorial. I'm gonna have to go in and change that. You don't want the second partition FAT32. That should be partition 1. So I'm gonna have to fix that. Go ahead and hit enter. That's gonna go ahead and make that first partition an EFI partition. Now we're gonna do mkfs.btrfs, and we're gonna give it the capital L flag, and we're just gonna say void, and we're gonna say dev. And instead of using VDA2 like we've been doing, we're going to use the mapper and then give it the name that we just gave it, so CV. So we're going to do dev mapper CV. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And that is good. We have now created the file systems. So let's go ahead and clear the screen. Step 4 now, we are going to go ahead and create some subvolumes. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to create a variable, because otherwise you have to type this over and over and it gets a little bit redundant. So we're going to do capital Btrfs underscore opt equals, so Btrfs options equals, and in double quotes we're going to do RW for read write. We're going to do no A time for no access time. We are going to do compress is going to equal ZSTD, so we're going to do Z compression instead of regular compression. Just a different form of compression. They'll both work, but ZSTD is a little more efficient, I think, but we'll just have to see. And then we're going to do discard, and we're going to say equals async. And then we're going to go ahead and quote that, and then we're going to hit enter. So now we have this variable stored. Now again, I said I'm not going to read through all the steps on this. On my tutorial, it breaks things down a little bit better. Doesn't go into full, big, long, in-depth explanations, but it kind of gives you a better idea of what is actually going on in each of these commands. So now we're going to do mount, and we're going to give it the -O flag. And then for options, that's the O for options, we're going to call that variable. So Btrfs ops, and then we're going to say dev mapper, and then CV for crypt void, and then we're going to do that on /mnt and hit enter. So now we have mounted. Oh wait, we got an error. Unrecognized mount option. Oh, I misspelled. So excuse me. So now we're going to have to go back and fix this. COM. We left an M out of the compress. There we go. Now we've changed that. So now we can press up and just do that twice. There we go. So apologize about that. We left an M out of there. Excuse me 1 second. So now we have the dev mapper CV mounted on /mount, and so now we need to create some subvolumes. So if we come over here, you can see the command it takes to create subvolumes. We're going to create a root subvolume, a home subvolume, and a snapshot subvolume. So let's do Btrfs CR, excuse me, /mnt, and then give it the @ symbol. So Btrfs SUCR, and then /mount/@ and hit enter. So now we've created that subvolume. Now we can just press up and add home onto the end of that. And we've created the home subvolume. Now we'll press up and erase home and do snapshots and hit enter. So now we've created our 3 subvolumes. And we need to come down here and we need to mount the root subvolume, or excuse me, we have to unmount and then we're going to mount. So I know that doesn't make much sense, but here's what we do. We've got all these snapshots made. Now we're going to unmount the crypt voids. So we're going to do umount /mnt and hit enter. There we go. Now we're going to clear the screen. Now we're going to take the time to mount each of those into their correct spot. So what we're going to do now is hit mount, and we're going to do the -O flag, and we're going to do the Btrfs options again. And then we're going to give it a couple more. So we're going to say subvol equals @, and then we're going to say dev mapper CV /mnt and hit enter. And then we are going to go ahead and do an mkdir, and we're going to say /mnt, and we are going to give it the we're going to create a couple of them here. So we're going to do some squirrely brackets, and then yes, that's a professional term, squirrely brackets. We're going to say EFI, we're going to say comma home, and we're going to say comma dot snapshots, and we're going to close that curly brace, and we're going to hit enter. Now we're going to do real quick, we're going to do an ls/mnt just to make sure we created those. We got EFI, we got home. Now let's do an ls-a/mnt and hit enter. And yes, we have .snapshots, EFI, and home created. So let's clear the screen. Now we are going to mount the other two. So we're going to press up a couple times to get us back to the mount. So now we're going to do the mount O Btrfs options, and we're going to do home, and we're going to do dev mapper CV mount, and then we're going to do excuse me, home, and we're going to hit enter. Then we're going to go up and we're going to create this one at mount/.snapshots, but we're going to come back over here and change the @home to @snapshots and hit enter. So now we've mounted all 3 of those subvolumes in the correct spots. Now we're going to create a few more excuse me, we're going to create a few more subvolumes of things that are going to be nested inside that we don't necessarily want to take snapshots of. Again, this is all broken down again in my tutorial, but if you just want to go ahead and do an mkdir-p, and we're going to do /mnt var cache, and we're going to hit enter, and then we're going to do Btrfs SUCR, and then we're going to do /mnt /var/cache, so mount var cache /xbps, and hit enter. So we've created that subvolume. We're going to go here and we are going to erase this, and we're going to create another subvolume at mount var tmp and hit enter. And then we're going to do another one at mount svc, or excuse me, srv. There we go. So created 3 more. These are the ones that we don't really want to take snapshots of, so we're just kind of creating these to keep them out of the way. So again, it's explained on the website on the tutorial a little better. I'm just trying to save time in talking on this video as much as I can. So now that we've done that, we need to mount our EFI partition. So let's do a mount -O. This one isn't going to use the variable, so we're going to do RW for options, no A time. And this one is going to be dev VDA1, and we're going to do that at /mnt/EFI and hit enter. So now we've mounted all our partitions, we've mounted our subvolumes, we've done everything good to go. So if we do a LSBLK and hit enter, you can see under VDA1 there, we have VDA1, VDA2, and we have CV. CV is the encrypted partition, and we have snapshots, home, and our root there. So let's go ahead and clear the screen, and we're going to move on to the actual installation. So when you're doing the installation, there's a few things you got to go through. We're going to create a couple variables again just to save us from typing things multiple times. But you got to choose. You can choose your mirror. You can choose which library you're going to use for the C library, whether it's glibc or musl. Pick your architecture. So we're going to walk through that real quick and get all that done. So what we're going to do here is, if we go over, we're going to do repo all capitals. We're going to hit equals and https://. I'm choosing to use the Chicago mirror because that's the closest to me. So I'm going to say mirror dot server central, I believe, and then .com / I guess it's written right there, void Linux /current. Now, if you're choosing to use musl, then you'll use the current /musl. But we're through this tutorial, we're going to just be using the current, the glibc. So we're going to go ahead and enter, and we're going to say arch equals, and we're going to use x86_64. That's the architecture we're going to be using. So we've got those two variables created now. So first thing we need to do is we need to do an mkdir, and we're going to give it the -p, and we're going to do /mnt/var db/xbps/keys. And we're going to hit enter. So we've created the mount var db xbps keys. And now we need to cp, which is going to be copy, /var /db xbps keys, and then /* for all of them, and we're going to copy those into /mnt/var/db/xbps/keys. So we're copying keys from the ISO over into our system, so that way we can verify packages correctly, package integrity and all that. Excuse me, sorry. So we're going to go ahead and enter. That step is not 100% completely necessary, but it is a good step to take. So it will probably work without it, but I recommend doing it. I highly recommend doing it. So let's go down here now, and we are actually going to do some install. So we're going to do xbps_arch equals $arch. So that's going to be the architecture. And then we're going to do xbps-install. And we're going to give it the capital S, capital R flag, and then repo. And then we're going to do -r, and we're going to do /mnt, and we're going to install the base system. We're going to install Linux -mainline. We're going to do Btrfs progs, and we're going to do crypt setup, and we are actually going to do vim. So right here we're going to do the base install, the base system. I'm going to install the mainline kernel on there. We're going to do the Btrfs programs, the crypt setup, and vim. Right here you could add anything else you really want to. It's not necessary to do it in this step, but if there's something you're thinking about that, hey, I better install this now while I'm thinking about it, go ahead and do it. We're just going to start with this. So let's go ahead and hit enter. This is going to take a second, so I will probably cut this out. So I'm going to go ahead and pause, and we will be back as soon as this is done. Okay, and we are good to go now. We have installed everything, and so now the next step is we are going to chroot, however you want to say it, into our system. So let's go ahead and clear the screen. First thing we need to do, though, is we need to mount a pseudo file system basically for chroot. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this command. We're going to do for, and we're going to say dir in dev proc sys run. Then we're going to do semicolon or colon, semicolon, semicolon. There we go. We're going to say do mount, and we're going to give it the --r bind, and we're going to do $dir, and then we're going to do /mnt/$dir, and then we're going to do a semicolon, and we're going to do mount --make -r slave. I'm going to say /mnt/$dir, and we're going to do semicolon and say done. So we're going to hit enter. Now we can go ahead and do a little bit of chroot work here. So what we're going to do first is we're going to do a CP. We're going to do etc, and we're going to do resolve.conf sorry, it's been a long day. I'm going to do /mnt/etc. So we're going to copy the configuration into the new root so XBPS can download stuff. Cannot resolve etc resolve.conf. Wait a minute. cp etc resolve.conf. Cannot stat no such directory. Let me see here. Got something going on here. So let's do ls/etc ls/etc. Sorry guys, I should have been a little better prepared. So let's do that, and let's actually pipe that into grep and look for resolve. Oh, I put an E on the end of it, that's why. Jeez guys, sorry, I apologize. So we're going to go back to this, so we're cp resolve.conf. There we go, all that for a stupid little E. Okay, so now we've done that, so now let's create another variable here. We're going to do Btrfs underscore opts. Basically, we're going to be changing that variable a little bit, is going to equal the current Btrfs underscore opts. So we're going to add ps1 equals, and we're going to give ourselves a new prompt here. So we're going to say chroot, and we're going to close that, and we're going to give us that and that. And then we're going to chroot into /mnt, but we want bin/bash. So basically what we're going to do here is we are going to chroot into our new system in the bash shell. So let's go ahead and hit enter, and there we are. We're chroot into the system. Let's clear the screen. And we're going to come down here, and let's go ahead and go through some files here. We're going to do some configuration and get our system set up how we want it. Now, I'm going to show you this step. You don't have to change anything here if you don't want to, but you can if you want to, so it's up to you. We're going to go ahead and vim into /etc/rc.conf and hit enter. You can see in here we've got like host name and all that. I don't set the host name in here. You can come up here and undo the hardware clock if you want. You don't have to. You can set your time zone in here, but you don't have to. We're going to use a link for that. You can set your key map in here. It's set to Spanish right now, but you could go EN and set it to English. Again, not something you have to do in this file. Really, you don't even have to go into this file, but I just figured I'd show you a little bit of what's in there. So let's go ahead and write and quit. Let's clear the screen. Now, here's where we're going to set our time zone. We are going to do an ls, and we're going to say /user share zone info, and hit enter. And this gives us all of our time zone areas. You can see Africa, America, Antarctica, Egypt, all this stuff. So here's what we're going to use to actually set our time zones. What we're going to do is we're going to do an ln-sf, and we're going to do user /share /zone info /I'm in America. So we're going to do America, and I'm going to use the Chicago because that's closest to me. I'm not in Chicago, but that's the closest to me. And we are going to actually link that to /etc/local time and hit enter. And there we go. Now we have our time zone set. So let's go ahead and clear the screen. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to set our locale. So we're going to go into Vim here, and we're going to go etc/default, oops, not period, /default libc locales and hit enter. What you're going to do is you're going to go through here and search for your locale, and you're going to uncomment it. So I'm going to do a search, and I'm going to look for en_us and hit enter, and there I am right there, these two. I'm going to go ahead and uncomment both of them. You don't have to, you can just do the one, but I'm going to go ahead and write and quit. So now we have those uncommented. Let's clear the screen again. So we have our locale set. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to configure the locales. So we're going to run the xbps-reconfigure, and we're going to give it the -f glibc locales and hit enter. That's going to go ahead and generate the glibc locales, and it's going to configure it, and we're going to be good to go. So now we need to set our host name. So what we're going to do is we're going to echo. You can pick whatever host name you want. I'm going to pick void better, and we are going to actually use quotes on that. And we are going to direct that into /etc host name. So you can put whatever you want for the host name. Like I said, I'm going to use void btr, and we're going to go ahead and hit enter. So now we have our host name set. Now we need to set the host file. So if we come over here, you can see you've got this little kind of an easier way to do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to cat, and we're going to do eof. We're going to direct that into etc hosts. We're going to hit enter, and we're going to do 127 0.0.0.1, and we are going to, oops, shoot, I just screwed that up. So let's go back. Sorry. There we go. And we're going to do local host, and then we're going to hit enter, and we're going to do : 1. I don't think that's going to work very well. So let's do cat EOF. Let's start this over. Sorry guys, I'm trying to rush and get this done because this is going to be a long video, and I'm really kind of screwing myself on it. So sorry. Hosts. There we go. So now let's do 127.0.0.1. Give it a couple spaces. Local host. And hit enter. Then we're going to do : 1. And we're going to just come over about as far as this one. And we're going to do local host. And we're going to hit enter. And then we're going to do 127.0.1.1. And we are going to do void Btr. So it's going to be your host name, whatever you created, dot local domain. And then we are going to do space and do void Btr. So it's going to be localhost, your host name dot local domain, your host name. Then we're going to hit enter, and we're going to do EOF and hit enter. And there we go. Now if we cat etc hosts and hit enter, you can see we've got those set up in there. So let's go ahead and clear the screen. Now we are on to user management. So now we are going to go ahead and set a password. So we'll do PASSWD and hit enter. We're going to enter our super secret password that nobody in the world will ever be able to crack. And now we are going to actually add a user. So we're going to do user add, and we're going to do Jake because I'm Jake. Now we're going to do password Jake and hit enter, and we're going to enter a super secret password for Jake, which is not the same as the root password. It can be. I'm just being facetious. I'm just joking around with you. And now we're going to actually do a user mod and add Jake to the wheel group, and you can add him to any other groups you want to add your user to as well. So we're going to do user mod dash AG, wheel Jake. So you can add to the video group, the audio group, the floppy group, whatever group you want to. I'm just going to do wheel for now, but we're going to go ahead and do that. And now we have created a password for our root user. We have created a new user, given that user a password, and added him to the wheel group. Excuse me 1 second. So now that we have him added to the wheel group, we need to do a edit of the sudoers file. Now you can do sudo by sudo, which will open it in vi, but we are actually going to change the editor. But first we're going to do chsh-s bin/bash root. So that's going to create the, or make the root user use the bash shell. And we're going to do editor equals vim vi sudo and hit enter. Now we are in the sudoers file in vim, which is so much easier to use than vi. Vi's not bad. I say that, but it's really not bad. But then we're going to come up here and we're going to find the wheel. We're going to go into insert mode and we're going to uncomment that. Now this is a step you can do or not do. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to add my user, Jake, and we're going to do all equals all : all. Now people might say that's a waste of time, you don't need to do that, and they might be right. You might not need to do that. I've just found that doing this for me has solved some issues that just uncommenting the wheel group didn't solve. Whether that's here nor there or been taken care of or it was one of my mistakes or whatever, that's just the way it is. So you don't have to add your user in like that, but you can. It just makes it easier for me. So let's go ahead and escape, and we're going to write and quit. We're going to clear the screen. So now we have created a password, a user password, added them to the wheel group, edited the vi sudo, and now we are going to go ahead and go into the repos. So we're going to run the xbps-install-s command, and this is going to sync the repos. So this is going to take a second, so bear with me. We are good now, so let's go ahead and clear the screen. And this next step is not required, but if you want to use anything that does not have a free license or something that's proprietary that's in the package, that's in the the repository, or if you're a gamer and you need like 32-bit or the 32-bit architecture and all that stuff, this is a step you're going to want to take. So what we're going to do is we're going to do xbps, as long as I've got focus on the right window, install. And we're going to do void-repo-non-free and hit enter. We're going to hit yes. It's going to go ahead and install that. Then we're going to do an xbps-s again to sync. You could do this at once, I'm sure, but we are going to just do it separately so you can see what you need to do if you only want one of them. So then multilib and hit enter. Yes. And we're going to sync those ones again. So now we've installed the non-free repo and the multilib repo. Well, we're in the process of installing it. Let's clear the screen. And we are good to go. So our repo has been synced. We have the non-free repo installed, the multilib repo installed. Now we're going to go ahead and create an fstab. Now this is one of the things that people complain about a lot, creating the fstab. So I did find somebody online that did it this way, and I thought this was really cool. Other people have probably done it. It's just new to me because I've always just written out my fstab. But this way saves a little bit of time, and it's just kind of cooler. So let's go ahead and create a couple variables again. So we're going to say EFI underscore UUID. Oops, got to be in the right window. Boy, Jake. EFI underscore UUID equals, and we're going to do dollar sign, and in parentheses we're going to do BLKID dash S UUID dash O value dev VDA1. And then we're going to close that parenthesis, and we're going to hit enter. Now we're going to press up, and we are going to change dev VDA1 to dev mapper /CV, and we're going to come over here and change this from EFI UUID to root UUID, and hit enter. And then the last one we are going to do lux underscore UUID. And we're going to give it the equals dollar sign, and we're going to do BLKID again, and give it the dash S UUID dash O, and we are going to give it the value of dev VDA2, and then close that one and hit enter. So now we've created these variables, and what we're going to do now is, once we clear the screen, we are going to do the same thing we did with our local hosts, or with our etc/host. We're going to do cat. And then we are going to do EOF and direct that into etc fstab. And we're going to hit enter, and we're going to say UUID. We're going to say equals dollar sign root underscore UUID. We're going to give it the slash Btrfs. We're going to give it the Btrfs underscore OPTS. So it's going to give it the Btrfs options. So we're going to say subvol equals at, we're going to say 0 and 1, and then we're going to hit enter. We're going to say UUID, and we're going to say equals, oops, not plus, equals dollar sign root underscore UUID, and we're going to do slash home Btrfs. We're going to give it the Btrfs underscore ops again. But we're going to do comma, and we're going to do subvol equals at home, and we're going to do 0, 2, and we're going to hit enter, and we're going to go UUID equals dollar sign root underscore UUID, and then we are going to give it the slash dot snap shots, and we're going to do Btrfs. And we're going to give it the Btrfs ops again, and this time we're going to do subvol equals at snap shots. We're going to say 0, 2, and then we're going to go UUID equals dollar sign, excuse me, EFI underscore UUID, and we're going to do slash EFI, and we're going to do VFAT, and we're going to say defaults, comma, no A time, and we're going to do 0, 2, and we're going to hit enter, and then we're going to do TMPFS, and we're going to do slash TMP, and we'll do TMPFS, and we'll say defaults, then we'll do comma, no SUID, no DEV, 0, 0. And then we'll do EOF. So again, that's UUID, and then we have those variables, but we load those into root home, and root.snapshots, and then we load the EFI into slash EFI. We give it the correct file system and the correct options, and EF, and we'll hit enter. Now if we cat etc fs tab, we should have a full fs tab there. There we go. So we have our fs tab completed. Next step is to install and set up the bootloader. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do an xbps-install grub-x86_64-EFI and hit enter. Yes, we want to go ahead and install that. We're going to give that a second to run, and I will be back with you shortly. Okay, so now we have grub installed, and what we need to do next is we need to change an option here. So what we're going to do is we're going to echo, and we're going to do capital GRUB_ENABLE underscore crypto, I got to make sure I'm spelling everything right, disk, and then equals Y, and we're going to put that, and we're going to append it, not overwrite. So make sure you get 2 of the chevrons there. We're going to append it. If you do 1, it's going to overwrite everything in your grub configuration. So you don't want to do that. So append it to etc/default/grub. We're going to hit enter. So that adds that line to our default, our grub configuration. And next thing we need to do is we're going to go ahead and actually vim into that. So let's go ahead and clear the screen, and we're going to vim into etc default grub and hit enter, and let's see if you can see where that is. Yep, right there at the very bottom, grub enable crypto disk -y, so, or equals y. Now what we need to do is right here on grub command line Linux default log level equals 4, we need to add a couple things to that. So what we're going to do is we are going to go right here, we're going to go into insert mode here. Sorry, we're going to go to insert, we're going to hit a space, we're going to do rd.auto equals 1. We're going to do rd.luks.allow discards, and that is it. Now we're going to write and quit, and we're going to clear the screen again, and now we're going to go ahead and install. So we're going to do grub-install oops, not 3 L's, target equals x86_64-EFI -EFI directory equals/EFI /bootloader -ID equals void, and hit enter. So this is going to go ahead and install grub. Hopefully we have no errors. Installation finished, no errors reported. We're good to go. We have grub installed. And now we can do something a little miscellaneous here. We can create a key file that will save us, hopefully, from having to log in and enter our encryption password twice at boot up. Hopefully it'll just allow us to enter one. So what we're going to do is we're going to do dd, and we're going to do vs for block size equals 515, count equals 4, input file equals -dev-urandom, output file, not zero file, output file equals /boot/keyfile.bin, and we're going to hit enter. So we have now created that, and next we need to come over here and we need to do CRYPT setup -v lux, and we'll do ADDKEY. Make sure you're using camel case there. So it's lux is lowercase, but then you have add is capital A and key is capital K. So lux add key, and we're going to do /dev VDA2 /boot /keyfile.bin. So crypt setup -v lux add key /dev VDA2 /boot /keyfile.bin. Go ahead and hit enter. Enter our passphrase. So we need to enter our super secret password we created. That's going to go ahead and approve all that. We've got slot 0 unlocked. That's a good thing. Slot 1 created, command successful, we are good to go. Next thing we need to do is we need to chmod, and we need to do 000 slash boot slash keyfile.bin, bin, and hit enter. And then we're going to allow only root access to our boot directory as well. So we're going to do chmod, and we're going to do -r, and we're going to give g-rwx-o-rwx slash boot. Hit enter. That's good to go. Now we need to set up our crypt tab. So let's clear the screen. And again, we're going to go with cat eof. And again, we are going to append, not overwrite, etc crypttab. And then we're going to hit enter. And we're going to say cryptroot uuid equals $luks underscore uuid. Remember, we created that variable earlier. And then we're going to do slash boot slash keyfile.bin lux. We're going to hit enter, and we're going to do EOF and hit enter. That step's good to go. Let's clear the screen. And next thing we need to do is configure the draw cut to include the key file and crypt tab into the initial RAM disk. So let's do echo, and we're going to do install, not times, items, underscore, excuse me, and underscore equals. All right, let's see here. I gotta fix my. So let's do a single quote. Install items equals double quote, and then we'll do slash boot slash keyfile dot bin. That should be plus equals keyfile dot bin slash etc slash crypt tab space. I think there should be a space over here too. Okay, and then we'll do, and we're gonna do slash etc slash dracut slash conf dot d slash 10 dash cryp crypt dot conf. There we go. Sorry. So crypt.conf, and we're going to hit enter. Then we're going to do ln-s etc sv, and now we're going to actually get our services started up. So we're going to start the Ethernet service. So we're going to do dhc pcd-eth0, and we're going to link that to etc slash runit slash runsvdir slash default, and hit enter. So got that good to go. Now we're going to go ahead and install some programs and some tools real quick. So let's clear the screen. So let's do xbps-install, and we're going to give it whatever programs we want to install. We'll do neofetch, just so we can kind of show what we've got going on. We'll hit enter. So we're just going to install one for now. You can put in whatever programs you want to right there. So we're going to clear the screen. I already did the DHCP service. Actually, that should be good. So then we need to do, you can install Network Manager if you want to. I don't have, I'm on a virtual machine, so I don't need to install Network Manager on here. I've got DHCP-CD running to actually give me my internet through, so I don't need that, but you can install Network Manager and set up Network Manager to start if you need Wi-Fi right off the bat. And after that, we're going to do xbps-install-fa, and we're going to do a good reconfiguration of the whole system. Oops. Not xbps install, reconfigure, Jake. Oh boy. There we go. We're going to reconfigure the system, make sure everything that we've installed is configured correctly, and at that point we will be ready to exit out of the chroot and reboot our system, and hopefully, if all goes well, we will be able to successfully boot into and log into Void Linux, and everything will be good to go. So give this a second to run what it needs to run, and hopefully I didn't just waste a whole bunch of time creating a video that's worthless because at the end it failed. I apologize for all the blibbering and blabbering through this video and the typos and all that. It's like I said, it's just been a busy week with everything going on, and I just really want to get this video made because I know I mentioned it last weekend and then didn't get through to it. So, but I will say this: I do have another video coming out here shortly, kind of what my plans are moving forward with this channel. So keep an eye out for that because there almost wasn't a moving forward with this channel. So just kind of give you a heads up as to what's going to go on with the channel and how I'm going to kind of reconfigure some things. So be on the lookout for that video after you watch this one. And do me a favor, if you enjoyed this video, if it helped you out in any way, please, those thumbs up really help me out. And I hate begging for stuff like that, but you know, I really like to get this channel growing. It is moving along. My subscriber base is steadily growing. You know, it's by no means gangbusters like a lot of these other channels, but you know, I appreciate you guys, every one of you that watches my show or watches my channel and likes, subscribes, shares, everything you guys do. Greatly appreciate it. So hopefully this will finish up so I can stop rambling and buying time here, but it looks like it's just going to take its sweet time. So we're going to give it a second here. I'm going to take a sip of coffee because, you know, coffee is always good, and we're going to hope that this is the end of it. Alright, there we go. We have the CH root. So let's go ahead and clear the screen again. So we've done everything. We are now on the last step of exit and reboot. So let's do an exit. And let's do a reboot. And we're going to hit enter. And we're going to keep our fingers crossed because I really don't want to look like a fool. Okay, so this might take a second. Oh boy. Okay, welcome to Grub. Now let's do... enter passphrase. This might take a second here to unlock everything and get moving. And I might have to log out and log back in because I messed up my password. But we'll just have to give it a second and see. So there we go. We're going to go ahead and log in there. Let's go ahead and move this to workspace number 2, so this gives us a little bit better of a screen that we can see. Set font, unable to load such font with such kernel version. Okay, that's fine. I'm not concerned about font. We can fix that later. So let's go ahead and log in, use our user and our password, and hit enter, and we are in. Let's clear the screen and run neo fetch. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see real well, and hit enter. There we go. We got void. We are void Linux x86 64, then KVM QEMU. We are going to do an ls blk, and you can see we've got our crypt root there. We've got our crypted partition, and we have our EFI partition, and we've got our snapshots, we've got our home, and we've got our root subvolumes. So we are good to go. So successful installation of Void Linux from chroot, from the command line, the quote-unquote hard way, with Btrfs, subvolumes, and encryption. So hopefully this meets people's expectations and this helps you out and you had a good time following along, because I had a good time shooting this video. Now again, we might continue on with this, and I'll play around with this VM a little more, and maybe we'll do some snapshot videos and some install videos and actually setting this this VM up. I don't know, we'll just have to see what happens. So thanks again for watching. Again, be on the lookout for that next video coming out, and yeah, you guys have a great rest of your week, and God bless.